Claire Thomas stopped me outside her office after everyone had gone home, pointed down the dark executive hallway, and said, "Not here." I had one hand on my laptop bag and the other on the light switch. The 42nd floor had emptied an hour earlier. The HVAC clicked off at 11 exactly, leaving behind the brittle silence of glass walls, dead monitors, and city lights burning blue beyond the windows. In that silence, her words did not sound romantic. They sounded like a warning. I looked where she was pointing. Not toward the lounge. Not toward the private elevator. Toward room 4. The secure incident room. "Where?" I asked. "The room with access logs, console cameras, and no internal glass," Claire said. "Bring your secure drive." That changed the shape of the night. Room 4 was not where executives went to hide. It was where the company went when a breach had a pulse. Claire turned before I answered. Her white blouse was sharp under the corridor lights, her dark trousers pressed, her hair loose around her shoulders from a day that had clearly run too long. Nothing about her looked unprepared except the manila folder in her right hand. She held it so tightly the edge had bent. I followed. I handled crisis PR, reputation containment, and the corporate fires that start as whispers before turning into board votes. The door to room 4 opened only after her badge, my badge, a PIN code, and a camera chirp. She stepped in first. I followed with my secure drive already in my palm. 3 blank monitors faced the conference table. A red light blinked above the console. Recording. Good. Tonight needed witnesses. Claire shut the door. The mechanical lock dropped with a heavy sound. Before she sat, she placed a single-page memo on the table between us. "You are not required to help beyond your contract," she said. "If you say no, your work remains intact. Your compensation remains intact. Miles and legal will witness every access request. You will not open private archives without limited written parameters." I looked from the memo to her face. That was not panic. That was discipline under siege. "What happened?" I asked. She turned her phone toward me. A countdown timer ran across the screen. 17 hours, 41 minutes. "At 6 tomorrow morning," she said, "the board receives a briefing packet accusing me of vendor kickbacks in the Southeast expansion. The documents are fabricated. The metadata points toward Owen Brooks." There was the first anchor. Why she had stopped me. A timed smear campaign. A fabricated board packet. A scandal designed to land before the truth could stand up. I opened the folder. The pages inside were clean enough to be dangerous. Forged invoices, staged approval screenshots, anonymous employee posts, and a fake message chain implying Claire had used a dead logistics account to route payments through a preferred vendor. Concerned tone. Plausible jargon. No hard proof. Just enough smoke to make cautious directors reach for suspension. "Owen wants the CEO track," I said. Claire nodded. "He has wanted it since Reynolds delayed the succession vote," Claire said. "I am the only operational candidate with board support. If the packet lands first, the board suspends me pending investigation. Once I am out of the room, Owen calls an emergency leadership review." There was the second anchor. His leverage was not truth. It was timing. "And why me?" I asked. Claire looked at the secure drive. "Because Owen is not just leaking documents, he is staging a reputation spiral. He creates the fire, then walks into the boardroom as the only calm person holding water. You know how to dismantle that before the room believes him." There was the third anchor. My practical buy-in. I was not there because she was my boss. I was there because the attack was reputation warfare, and reputation warfare was my job. If Owen used a lie to take out the one executive who could stop him, the company would reward sabotage and call it governance. If I stood on the same floor and let it happen, my work meant nothing. I plugged into the secure console. Why not go through IT? "Mandatory system update," Claire said. "External admin overrides locked until 6. Why not wait for legal?" Nora Bailey already authorized a limited review. She is on standby, but if she logs in from outside, the update will show access irregularity, and Owen will use that too. Why not leave the building? "The packet is staged inside our own firewall. If I leave, he frames it as avoidance. If I stay in my office alone with you, he frames it as secrecy. So we work here." Recorded. I looked at the red light above the console. Clean boundaries, practical constraints, no easy exit. "Then we work clean," I said. Claire typed her master credential herself while I turned my chair away. The room captured the access, not the password. When the terminal flashed green, she stepped back. The clock read 12:18 a.m. For the next 3 hours, room 4 became a machine. Claire mapped the southeast expansion by hand. Vendor approvals, compliance reviews, board notes, and payment holds. Her handwriting stayed tight, but the pressure of the pen changed whenever Owen's name appeared. I built a shell around the staging server and isolated every IP address that had touched the packet. Every open file created a timestamp. Every export went into the incident log. Every time I needed her credential, she entered it herself. At 2:04 a.m., the first crack appeared. Owen made a mistake, I said. Claire looked up. What kind? He used an old Apex Logistics vendor code to stage the files. He wanted it to look like a closed vendor account had been reopened by someone in your chain. Can it trace to him? Not yet. It traces to the dead account. We need the original contract signature to prove the proxy pattern belongs to Owen's division. Claire's pen stopped. The Apex contract is in my archived email. I did not answer too quickly. Her archive would contain board correspondence, HR notes, privilege strategy, and enough private material to ruin the whole defense if handled carelessly. We do not open the archive, I said. We run a limited search. She waited. I opened a blank script window and turned the screen toward her. Vendor ID only. Contract date range only. Corporate domain only. No message bodies. No attachments. Output limited to contract hash, sender metadata, and signature field. You approve the script. Legal receives the audit log. Claire read the empty command line like it was a contract. Write it. I typed slowly. Apex, vendor, ID, contract, window. No. Body, output. No. Attachment, extraction. Signature, hash. Only. Metadata. Report. Only. When I finished, I stood and stepped away from the console. The recording would show my hands empty while Claire checked the script. She leaned over the keyboard, her jaw tight, eyes moving line by line. Run it, she said. You approve? I approve. She entered the authorization herself. The progress bar crawled across the screen. 20%, 40, 70. I stayed standing by the far wall, arms folded, making sure the camera had a clean view of the console and my distance from it. Claire watched the bar without blinking. Thank you, she said quietly. Process. No, she said. Process is what people call decency when they are afraid it will sound personal. The progress bar hit 100. I returned to the chair. The output appeared exactly as requested. No message body, no private correspondence. Only the Apex vendor record, contract hash, and signature field. The signature pattern matched Owen's override code. I printed the report. The printer scraped softly in the cold room. We have origin, I said. Now, we need a witness. Claire looked at the clock. 4 Kako. 07 a.m. Miles Carter closed the Apex account before it was archived. He can verify the override pattern. I dialed him. Miles answered on the 4th ring, voice rough with sleep and irritation. Someone better be on fire. Reputation fire. Tier 1. Apex Logistics vendor account. Secure portal in 30 seconds. Pause. Then fabric rustled. A lamp clicked, and Miles became useful. Send it. I pushed the packet through the encrypted channel. Claire stood beside the table, arms folded, eyes fixed on the speakerphone. Miles typed for half a minute. The Apex account should be dead, he said. It was reactivated, I replied. Look at the override pattern. Another pause. His voice lost all sleep. That is Owen Brooks's authorization pattern. Can you state that for the Room 4 record? You are recorded? Full log. Miles exhaled. I, Miles Carter, former account manager for Apex Logistics, confirm the vendor override pattern shown here matches the executive authorization code used by Owen Brooks's division. I did not reactivate this account. I sent the affidavit language. He went silent. Claire took one step toward the phone, then stopped. Good. Miles needed to own the risk. Miles, I said, if you sign this, Owen may come after you. If you do not, the fabricated packet hits the board at 6, and Claire is suspended before she can speak. Owen used your closed account to plant the lie. Silence filled the room. Then Miles said, send the signature page. He signed at 4:32. The confirmation printed at 4:34. Then my external PR monitor flashed red. A new industry blog post had gone live. I opened it. A cropped photo filled the screen. Claire and me at a Denver hotel bar 6 months earlier, my head angled toward hers. My hand appeared to rest near the back of her chair. The crop cut out the reports on the table, the other executives sitting 2 seats away, and the meeting agenda projected on the far wall. The headline read, COO's Hidden Asset? Questions. Grow around Claire Thomas and her crisis PR manager. Claire stared at the screen. The red timer kept running beside it. This is the second blade, she said. Yes. Financial scandal on you. Credibility scandal on me. If the board thinks I am personally compromised, they dismiss the evidence before they read it. Her hand closed around the edge of the table. Can we take it down? We can file a defamation notice and request the full hotel footage, but the board will see this before breakfast. Then we show the full frame. I looked at her. She had already moved past humiliation into structure. That was why Owen feared her. The hotel security footage, she said. Attendance records, calendar invite, deck file, expense logs, all of it. I was already typing. Then she said my name. Carefully. Ethan. I stopped. If they ask whether there is anything personal between us, how do we answer? The question did not belong to the board packet alone. It belonged to every late night I had stayed near her office because a crisis was not finished. Every briefing where she had trusted my red before the room caught up. Every moment I had turned professional distance into a wall because the alternative could be used against her. I looked at the recording light. With the truth that matters for the meeting, I said. There is no relationship that affected your decisions, my contract, my pay, or the evidence. After the board review, we file the reporting structure in writing, so Owen cannot turn trust into another weapon. And the truth that does not matter for the meeting? That waits until it can be clean. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then Claire turned back to the screen. Get the full frame. At 7 a.m., the building came alive around us. The lockdown lifted. The mechanical bolt clicked green. Morning lights brightened in sections down the hallway. Assistants would arrive in 30 minutes. Analysts in 45. By 8, the entire floor would be pretending not to know something had gone wrong. We had the vendor trail, Miles's affidavit, the limited archive report, the blog crop, the hotel footage request, and a draft statement that looked surgical enough to cut. Claire stood at the door with the evidence pouch under one arm. Her face held together by force. Go home, I said. Sleep for 4 hours. You have not slept. I am not the one Owen is trying to suspend at 6 tomorrow. He is trying to suspend both of us. Then I will sleep after making him worse at it. A breath escaped her, almost a laugh, the first relief of the night. Send me every draft, she said. No. Her eyebrows lifted. You are saying no to your COO? I am saying no to a sleep-deprived executive reviewing crisis copy at 7:06 a.m. Nora gets the legal draft. Miles gets the affidavit packet. You get the board version at noon after 4 hours of sleep. Claire looked like she wanted to argue. Then she looked at the timer. 15 hours. 4 hours, she said. She walked down the hallway first. I stayed behind long enough to export the Room 4 recording, seal the incident log, and place the secure drive in a tamper pouch. When I finally stepped into the corridor, sunlight had begun to tint the glass. The office looked like it had recorded the truth before anyone could edit it. Monday morning, the boardroom on the 45th floor was built to make people confuse expensive furniture with authority. Long mahogany table, 12 directors, floor-to-ceiling glass, overlooking the financial district. Owen Brooks sat at the far end in a gray suit, rested, smooth, and already grieving a scandal he had not yet been accused of creating. Claire sat at the head of the table. I stood near the presentation console, not behind her shoulder. That positioning mattered. I was not a shield. I was evidence custody. Miles Carter sat 3 seats from the chairman with his signed affidavit in front of him. Nora Bailey joined by secure video from legal. Chain of custody report already open. Board chair Richard Reynolds cleared his throat. Claire, before projections, the board has received 2 troubling matters. First, an anonymous file suggesting vendor kickbacks in your division. Second, a circulated photograph raising questions about professional boundaries between you and Mr. Scott. Owen leaned forward with practiced reluctance. It pains me to say this, Claire, but the optics are serious. A COO facing financial allegations while relying on a crisis PR manager with whom she may have a personal relationship. Stop there, Claire said. The room went still. She did not raise her voice. She did not look at me for rescue. She placed one document in front of Reynolds. That is the Room 4 access log. Every entry recorded, every screen captured, every access request bounded by legal. If Owen wants to discuss optics, we will begin with the record. Owen's mouth closed. Claire turned toward me. Ethan. I connected the tablet. The screen lit up. On the left, the cropped hotel photo. On the right, the full hotel security footage. 5 people at the table. Reports spread open. Calendar invite displayed below. Denver Retreat Media Strategy Review. 9:40 p.m. Conference Lounge B. The circulated image was cropped to imply a private meeting, I said. The full footage shows a scheduled business session with 5 participants. Hotel security supplied the clip under legal request this morning. Chain of custody is attached. I clicked to the next slide. Room 4 access log. Legal authorization. Limited archive script. Apex vendor ID. Signature hash. The anonymous dossier alleges Claire authorized kickbacks through a defunct Apex account. The evidence shows the account was reactivated 3 days ago through an executive override pattern linked to Owen Brooks's division. Owen leaned back. Digital logs can be manipulated. Yes, I said, which is why we did not rely on a single log. Next slide. Miles's affidavit. Miles sat forward. For the record, he said, I managed the Apex account before closure. I confirm this override pattern matches the code used by Owen's division. I did not authorize reactivation, and Claire Thomas had no operational reason to touch the account. Reynolds turned a page. Owen? Owen kept his face steady. This is a desperate defense by a compromised team. I nodded once. That possibility was anticipated. The next slide appeared. A non-compete waiver, drafted 2 weeks earlier with Northline Strategy. Embedded metadata found inside the same staged vendor packet. Owen Brooks prepared a non-compete waiver with Northline 14 days ago, I said. He planned to stage a scandal, depress confidence in Vantage North, trigger Claire's suspension, break his own contract under governance instability, and leave with his division's client list. The room changed. Not loudly. No gasp. No shouting. Just 12 people, moving from suspicion to calculation. Owen's hands dropped from their steeple. Reynolds stopped reading the rumor packet and turned the evidence folder toward Owen instead. Owen, Reynolds said, did you draft this waiver? Owen looked from the screen to the packet. For the first time, he had no face prepared. This is being taken out of context. Nora's voice came through the speaker. The metadata was extracted from the same vendor file used to stage the fabricated dossier. Legal has preserved the original packet. If Mr. Brooks claims manipulation, he must explain how his own draft contract entered the staging server. Miles looked down at his folder, then back at Owen. The room waited. Owen said nothing. Reynolds removed his glasses. Security will escort Mr. Brooks to collect personal effects. His access is suspended pending disciplinary review and legal referral. The board will reconvene this afternoon regarding formal action. Owen stood. For 1 second, polished grief vanished, and anger showed through. He looked at Claire. Then at me. You think this saves you? Claire answered before I could. No, she said. The record saves the company. It only happens to expose you. Owen walked out. The heavy door closed behind him. The silence that followed was not empty. It was the sound of a disaster losing oxygen. The meeting lasted another hour. Claire walked the board through the southeast expansion without a tremor in her voice. The vendor timeline held. The projections held. The board accepted the packet, opened proceedings against Owen, and cleared Claire of the fabricated allegations. They did not apologize in any satisfying way. Boards rarely did, but they entered the truth into the minutes. That mattered more. After the meeting, the executive wing looked too bright. Morning sun slid along the corridor glass. Assistants carried coffee. Analysts pretended not to glance toward the boardroom. The world had resumed without understanding how close it came to being rewritten. Claire stopped outside her office, the same place where she had stopped me Friday night. For one beat, the title returned. My boss stopped me outside her office after everyone left and said, "Not here." But now everyone was arriving, and the hallway was still the wrong place for anything honest. The scrapped contract, she said quietly. You found it Sunday. Yes. You did not tell me before the meeting. I needed motive Owen could not prepare against. You decided that alone. Yes. Her gaze sharpened. There it was. Not gratitude, not softness, anger. She had earned the right to be angry. I should have told you, I said. You were the target. You should have known every piece of the board packet before I used it. The answer landed harder than defensiveness would have. Claire glanced through the glass, where two assistants had slowed near the copy station. Not here, she said again. This time the words were protective. She pointed across the hall. Legal conference room. Glass walls. Door open. Nora on the call. I nodded. Where? There. We entered the small legal room. Claire left the door open. I called Nora and put her on speaker. The room log activated when I tapped the console. Claire stood across the table from me. You protected my archive, she said. You protected the record. You found the motive. Then you shielded me from one decision because you thought it was efficient. I did. Do not do that again. I will not. Nora's voice came from the phone. For what it is worth, that is the correct answer. Close quote. Claire looked at the speaker. Nora. I am still on the clock, Nora said. And the clock says this room is dangerously close to sincerity. So I will add the required governance point. Ethan does not report to Claire. Effective immediately, his crisis contract moves under the Independent Risk Committee. Compensation, review, scope, and renewal do not sit under the COO. Claire reached for a folder and slid it toward me. Independent Risk Committee contract structure. Already signed by Reynolds. Already effective. I read it twice. You did this before you knew the outcome. I did it because Owen was trying to turn trust into scandal, Claire said. Win or lose, the work needed to be clean. Outside the open door, the floor was waking up. Phones, footsteps, a coffee cart rolling past. Claire placed the finalized board statement between us, then stepped back before the hallway could turn trust into gossip. I have a press briefing at 2, she said. We deny the rumor, confirm Owen's suspension, explain the evidence chain, and state that your contract reports to the risk committee. That will look defensive. It will look documented. A small smile touched my mouth. That is my line. I listened. Nora sigh hid. I am ending this call before either of you make paperwork sentimental. The call clicked off. For the first time since Friday night, Claire laughed. One short sound. Exhausted. Human. Gone almost as quickly as it came. It stayed with me anyway. At 2 o'clock, Claire stood at the podium in the press room. I stood to the side with Miles, not behind her, not hidden, not positioned like a secret. Reporters filled the first rows. The board statement rested in front of her. She delivered it cleanly. Owen Brooks had been suspended, pending review. The vendor kickback dossier was fabricated. The hotel photograph was cropped out of context. The company had retained my services through the Independent Risk Committee to preserve clean governance and prevent future reputation attacks. No dramatic denial, no over-explaining, no performance. Enough truth to close the door without inviting people to peek through the window. When the briefing ended, a reporter raised her hand. Miss Thomas, will Mr. Scott continue working with you directly? Claire looked toward me once, then back to the room. Mr. Scott will advise the company through the risk committee. Any work involving my division will be logged, scoped, and witnessed under the new structure. And personally? The reporter asked. Claire did not smile. This is a corporate briefing. Personally, I recommend everyone stop rewarding cropped photographs with better questions than they deserve. Miles coughed into his hand. The reporters laughed just enough to break the spell. By evening, the narrative had turned. The blog posted a correction after the hotel threatened legal action. Owen's suspension became the real headline. The false dossier disappeared from the employee forum. Miles's affidavit held. Nora's chain of custody memo became the most downloaded internal legal document of the quarter, which she called both gratifying and depressing. I returned to the 42nd floor at 7:30 p.m. to collect the final evidence packet from room 4. The office was almost empty again. The HVAC had not clicked off yet. The lights were still on. Claire stood in the hallway outside her office, holding 2 paper cups of coffee from the lobby kiosk. She had changed into a dark blazer. Her exhaustion had not vanished, but it no longer looked like something trying to erase her. She held out 1 cup, black coffee, no sugar. You remembered. You say that like you are forgettable. I try to be. You failed this weekend. I took the cup. The lid was warm against my palm. For a moment, neither of us moved. The hallway stretched open and bright. Conference rooms reflected the city lights. No shadowed invitation. No closed room. No rumor waiting to be born without a record. Claire looked toward room 4. I said not here, because I knew what the building would do with a woman asking for help after everyone left, she said. There are rooms where women lose credibility just by needing something. Owen counted on that. He counted on every door becoming a story. The coffee cup felt heavier in my hand. So you chose the room that recorded everything? Yes. And you made me ask where. And I needed to know if you would follow the process, not just me. The words landed carefully. No leverage. No performance. No closed door. I looked at the independent risk memo tucked under her arm. The process says I do not report to you anymore. It does. The board issue is closed. Yes. Owen is gone. Pending legal action. But, yes. The rumor is corrected. Yes. Claire set her coffee on the narrow hallway table and pulled one sheet from her folder. Dinner invitation. Not a calendar command. Not a corporate event. A printed reservation with no assistant copied, no company card, and one handwritten note. After legal files the final memo. Only if you want to ask where again. I looked at the page, then at her. Not here? I asked. This time her smile was tired but real. Not in a hallway where people can turn us into another rumor. Where? She placed the reservation on the table between us. Dinner, Friday. After Nora confirms the final memo is filed. If you still want to go. I picked up the paper. No strategic label, no hidden obligation, no reporting line, no crisis. Just a choice with an exit. I want to go, I said. Claire's shoulders lowered. Enough for me to see what the night had cost. Good. I took a pen from my pocket and wrote beneath her note. Friday. 7. No incident log. She read it. Are you sure? I may bring a small risk matrix. A. Ethan. Fine. No risk matrix. No secure drive either. That is unreasonable. She laughed, and this time, it lasted long enough to belong to the hallway without being taken by it. The following Friday, room 4 was dark. The incident light above the console was off. The access log had been sealed. Owen's badge had been deactivated. The board had approved the disciplinary referral. Miles's vendor controls had been rebuilt under dual authorization. Nora filed the final governance memo at 4:12 p.m. and sent me one message. You are officially allowed to be human after 6. I considered objecting. I did not. At 6:58, I stepped out of the elevator and found Claire waiting near the lobby doors. Not outside her office. Not in a hallway. Not behind glass. She wore a dark coat over a pale blouse, work bag in one hand, phone in the other. When she saw me, she locked the phone and put it away. No countdown timer. No emergency link. No folder. Ready? She asked. I glanced once toward the security desk out of habit. Claire caught it. Still checking exits? Professional defect. Anything dangerous? I looked around. A security guard, a closing reception desk, rain on the glass doors, and the city beyond them. No, I said. Nothing dangerous. Claire opened the door herself, and the cool air moved between us. Outside, rain had turned the pavement silver. Only this time, there was no locked room behind us, no countdown to beat, no rumor to outrun. She stepped beneath the awning, then looked at me. Where? She asked. The word that had started the whole night returned clean. Not a trap. Not a secret. Not a headline. I held up the reservation. 2 blocks east, I said. Public entrance. Good lighting. No internal glass. Ass. That sounds suspiciously like a risk assessment. It is a restaurant review. And, of course, we walked into the rain side by side. Not hidden. Not hurried. No one watching us could mistake the direction for anything except 2 people leaving work after the record had been protected, the lies corrected, and the choices made clean. For once, I did not need room 4, the secure drive, or the access log to trust what happened next. I only needed the open door ahead of us. The end. Closing thoughts. Core lesson. Real trust protects the record before it asks for the heart. Green flag. They keep your choices clean, even when the rumor would be easier. Please like and subscribe so we can share more stories like this.